sort of market competing strategy based. The other is very, highly uncharted. It's new, it's vast, it's deep, and that's where we explore, the new realms of industries. And then we said, okay, how do we correlate this with career guidance? How do we move away from the traditional approaches, traditional careers, to a new way of sort of imagining careers, imagining career advising? And it sort of sat really well. So hopefully we'll be able to, share our thoughts. We'll keep it very, very exploratory. We're not advocating or sort of prescribing a certain strategy or a certain approach. We understand that our contexts as institutions, as individuals, are very, very different. So we want to respect that. But we hope that as you hear us and you hear our ideas, you'll take away the idea and not probably the scenario or the situation the idea is embedded in. So let's get started.
I just had one other thing. So yesterday at the pre-conference workshop, which was 6 odd hours, we worked through skills and trends and what are the emerging fields. And one of the conversations was around how does it, Samir, I think it was you who mentioned that when kids, he's like, oh, junior school didn't do that. Primary to junior, junior to high, and high to university. Let me try again. Junior school to middle, middle to high school to university. Everybody who inherits the kids says, oh, the previous set hasn't prepared the kids. So much so that when we send kids to university, they're not university ready. And universities and now jobs and careers and corporates are saying kids coming out of university are not career ready. And in real life, there aren't such sharp discriminations. That's number one. So just keeping that in mind, please understand this is a very corporate concept of red ocean, blue ocean, which we're trying to pull into our thinking of being more abundant, of being less competitive and allowing things to flourish. And that was the whole idea when Neha brought this up a couple of months ago. Sorry guys, like I mentioned, the first session always.
Is it on YouTube?
Last year it was Inderbeer and IB. Last year we did digital safety, same issue. Yeah. Is this working? Yeah. Okay. No, but there's no sound here. I'm sorry, guys. You're just going to have to wait till Shubhumi figures. It's not working. The sound gets captured into HDMI. The HDMI goes in God knows where. And unlike a normal hotel where we usually meet, just to assure you, we're not this unstructured usually. She runs a fairly large institution. I manage a modest program. We manage well.
So I think how we'll use the next 30 odd minutes is to delve into the concept. We'll try and do that. The good thing about the concept is that it's grounded in data, which means there's been a research of over a decade by these professors, Chan Kim and René Mauban, of across 30 industries that have been operating over 100 years. So it's grounded in data. The second good thing is that there is a step-by-step process. And then there are a lot of tools and frameworks within this strategy that we can adopt. Today, we will cover only one of their fundamental pedagogies or frameworks, which is called ERRC. So keep that intact. We will elaborate on ERRC. But for now, let's just watch this video.
In 1984, Guy Laliberté co-founded Cirque du Soleil. Soon, Cirque was bringing in revenues that incumbents like Ringling Brothers had taken more than a century to attain, even though the circus business was in long-term decline. How did Cirque thrive in such a dismal environment? The answer can be found in the theory that the business universe consists of two kinds of markets, red oceans and blue oceans, a concept pioneered by INSEAD professors W. Chan Kim and René Mauban. Red oceans represent existing industries and markets, where industry boundaries and the rules of competition are well defined. Companies strive to outperform rivals and grab a bigger share of existing demand. As the space gets crowded, fierce competition turns the water bloody. Competitive or market competing strategy is about how to occupy red oceans. By contrast, blue ocean or market creating strategy is about how to create and capture unknown markets where demand is created rather than fought over. In some cases, this spawns entirely new industries. But most blue oceans emerge when a company alters the boundaries of an existing industry, as when Cirque du Soleil blurred the line between circus and theatre. Cirque made the acts more artistic and sophisticated, attracting a whole new group of customers, adults who are prepared to pay premium ticket prices as they would for the theatre or the opera. Cirque also eliminated several elements of the traditional circus like costly animal acts and star performers. Cirque invented a new and profitable market space without making the typical trade-off between value and cost. Cirque pursued both differentiation and low cost in what Kim and Moborn call value innovation. The simultaneous pursuit of value and cost is the logic of Blue Ocean strategy. Based on their study of more than 30 industries, companies that can create blue oceans usually reap the benefits for 10 to 15 years because they are hard for rivals to copy. To realize blue ocean potential like Cirque did, companies should chart a strategic course past traditional industry boundaries to create new market space.
Okay, I hope this was self-explanatory, but this was really trying to say how the amalgamation of circus and theater created something that was entirely new. And we can see that across industries right now. Before we sort of dive into career guidance and the concepts correlation in guidance, we can see it all around us, right? The Blinkits of the world, the Paytms of the world, the Tesla. These are all models, the Netflix, the OTT platforms. These are all industries that emerged and sort of create a new playing field altogether, if we may call it, right? So this is what the strategy is really talking about. The strategy is largely differentiating the two markets, where one is very, very competition heavy, whereas the other is making the competition irrelevant altogether. The energy in the red ocean is around trying to survive, because you're constantly trying to beat the competition. And because there's cutthroat competition, there are too many players, you have shrinking profits, shrinking market pool. We can also sort of see how this would mean when we try and correlate this with careers. Think about traditional, conventional engineering choices and what that really means in the red ocean market universe. If we consider this as the red ocean, what would that really mean, right? We're talking about numerous graduates who are out there, about 70% of them still sort of unemployed or employed in careers that don't align with their original choices. And that sort of kind of also diminishes their bargaining power in the market too, right? So that sort of kind of tells us a very, very red ocean mindset. And then we move to blue ocean, like we said, where you're trying to make the competition irrelevant. It's vast, it's deep, it's unexplored, and there's just so much that is possible because you're literally playing on your own terms. There's nobody that you're really competing with. And we want to also now try and correlate that in the realm of careers and advising. Okay, so I think we'll do a simple activity. I'm just going to throw, just so that we can warm up, I'm going to throw certain job roles at us, and then with a show of hands, we can say whether we think this is red ocean or blue ocean, right? So we'll start with, should I just say red ocean? How many of us think this is red ocean? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna name a few job roles, and let's identify, we can see these are red ocean or blue ocean. So red ocean careers, restaurant chef. How many of us think that might be a red ocean career? Restaurant chef. Okay. Genetic counselor. Blue? Okay. Digital marketing specialist. Okay. Podcaster. Content creators. Love it. Already.
So think about this. 5 years ago, these would not have been red ocean, right? So again, this is something we had a conversation last year as well. When you're a teacher, an educator, or a principal, a lot of your job is about knowing things, coming from a space of authority, or coming from a place of contemplation, having amalgamated ideas and positioning yourself as I know. As a career counselor, 80% of the time, your answer has to be, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Because what you're not doing is telling kids or taking your imprint and putting it onto your kids. What you're doing is you're telling them, and it is okay to deal with ambiguity. It is okay to deal with complexity. And how do you absorb information and take a decision? You are not there to give an answer as a career counselor. You're there to give them the tools to understand how to navigate. So there's a very big difference in how you have to approach this role. And that is why I just wanted to point out, and Neha read them beautifully in that order: podcaster, YouTuber. These are not red careers, but look at the frenetic frenzy with the sharks in the tank, right? That's how the red oceans are frothy. So think about that.
Achha, okay. Cloud computing architect. Blue.
How
Okay.
long do you think it'll be before it becomes red? 1 year. Namta says one. Next conference. Manju Ma'am says next conference.
Sustainable fashion designer. Navigating. Two blue.
Investment banker.
Really?
I thought I'd throw it out there. Career counselor. Yeah. Red.
You'd be surprised. The findings are very different, by the way. The findings are very different. I'll send you that research separately.
Right. So again, as you're seeing, this is not a regular way of preaching at you. This is an evolving concept. It's a theory that we're trying to see whether it works for us. That's what you do, right? You see if other things apply in your field. How do you get your children or your students to adopt a blue mindset, blue ocean? Yes.
Anybody, but if you're doing it with a little bit of a twist, from red you go to blue. So you are in that you could be even an investment banker, but you're doing a little bit of a twist in that same thing. You go into blue.
That's beautiful, Sapna.
That was beautiful, Sapna. But even, for example, if you're a banker and you get into carbon credit trading, right? You have the opportunity to have a career which has at least a 10-year visibility, minimum, which some of us, honestly, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen over the next 5 years.
But it's interesting what you're saying, because also within the spectrum of red oceans, there is now research which says that you can identify blue pockets within the red ocean and vice versa also. So it's interesting. It's evolving as we speak. The beauty of the strategy or the concept also is that it applies at an institutional level, which we will try and explore today. It applies at an individual level, at a pedagogical or a curriculum level, but it also applies at different levels of leadership, right? So how you as a school leader would adopt a very blue ocean mindset or approach to things vis-a-vis as a counselor of frontline staff who's working day in, day out, right, with the markets. So yeah, I think we've already covered this, but we will dive deeper into this. We will, for the sake of today and the theme, we'll stick to career guidance. But like I said, please try and explore this at an institutional level holistically as well, because it will certainly apply. So this is the framework that we wanted to talk about today. Essentially, it draws our attention to acts and activities that as institutions, as individuals, or at a very framework level, we can eliminate, reduce, raise, and create, right? So stop, less of. So what is it that we should stop doing? What should we do less of? What should we do more of? And what should we start doing, right? Okay. Do we have pen and paper, all of us, some of us? If we can, and now we are evaluating this at the institutional level. So at the institutional level, what can institutions really do to sort of get rid of a one-size-fits-all approach to career guidance models? Let's think a little deeper on and expand this. What are the other things within the framework of career guidance that we could eliminate? Think about manual documentation. And I want us to think about a couple of things at least that we think we should just get rid of at an institutional level. And we'll take about 30 seconds. What is it that we'd like to reduce? How about thinking about cost of career guidance that students end up paying? Reduce dependence on external factors. Yes, Amrita. Absolutely. Gender biases. I think somebody will need to
I've
run with the
asked for a
mic.
new mic. Are we getting a new mic?
Okay. What can we raise within our institutions? Of course, emphasis on collaborative working. on engagement at all levels, whether it is parental, community, industry. How can we make advising, which is not instructional or informative, but very, very data-driven, right? Consultative. And create. What do we need to create as systems? Is there a system in our institutions to measure the impact of career guidance? Do those systems exist? Do we need to create a professional development plan for our teachers and educators around career guidance? Do we need to create curriculums which are inclusive, where every subject lends into a career or the industry? So that's institutional level. For the sake of time, we should also just quickly run through this, but again, we'll dive into it, right? Correct. For individual?
Yeah.
Right. I think let's look at it at an individual level now and see what is it that we can start to create, but let's start with eliminate. Biases, for example, but let's talk more. What can we eliminate at a counselor level? Or reduce? Yeah.
So eliminate, just repeat the...
So focus on certain career options, or the privileged ones, so to say, the traditional ones. Herd mentality, absolutely. Stigmatization. Sorry?
So she's saying these are not things controlled by the career counselor. That is true, but we have a mix of people in the room. And I think as a career counselor, if you're going to advocate for your students, you also have to learn how to advocate for yourself. If I need support, if I need resources, I need to have the conversation which is either data-driven or consistently build the case. So if I'm not getting top-down support, which I'm lucky enough to have, but if I were not getting top-down support, it is very important to then advocate for yourself. I would, Manisha ma'am, on the issue of external counselors, I've struggled with this personally because there are some who are friends, there are some who are excellent, and there are some who are just, let's say, if you, my grandmother says, if you have nothing nice to say about somebody, just don't say it. So I'm not saying it. But it meets a need in the market. So till we come to a point where we can offer something of that caliber and quality, which is not true across the board, it will exist, and they serve a purpose. And they serve a purpose. Guys, again, we're sorry about the mic. You can't hear some of these conversations. Just run through this.
Yeah. Hopefully this gives you a framework. We can take a picture of this. And then, of course, I think the other way to look at it is that we put all ideas, recommendations, challenges under the 4 buckets, and then we try and place whether these are to be tackled at an institutional level, individual level, or a pedagogical level. So we can always sort of have a repository of those challenges or recommendations and then put them in the respective buckets. Again, I think some of this will overlap, as you can see, but we are talking about reimagining the curriculum, reimagining how we work with students at different levels, reimagining how we engage stakeholders, like replacing regular career days with days which are very, very research heavy, centric on, student role plays, centric on what students can really demonstrate instead of it being very, very informative lecture based at the end of the day. How do we inculcate a growth mindset at different levels? So again, some systems that we need to create around that. How can we raise the level of real-world exposure, real-world projects? I'm sure many of us are doing that already, but there might be schools that are very, very new to that idea itself. So those are the 3 levels that we wanted to cover, but I want to pause there. We'll talk more about it, but a shift to the realm of careers and exploring, the new age careers.
Thank you. Thank you, Neha, for elaborating on 3 things. So just to recap, in the last 10-15 minutes, we have covered red ocean, blue ocean, the mindset of competitiveness versus over-reliance on one market or a couple of choices, and the blue ocean abundant mindset. It is not that easy. Someone who is propagating it, and I'm a proponent of it today, I still struggle. There are times in which I will run up to my boss and go, so-and-so is not doing this is not happening. And you must have somebody in your life who reflects back and says, if this, be like water. If you're hitting stone, either go under it, go around it, go on top of it. Don't hit your head against the stone. And that, I think, is also a very easy way to sometimes approach this mindset. So let me quickly ask you, as some of you know, I love numbers. So does anybody know what the number on the left is? That is Harvard University's admission rate last year. Does anybody know what the numbers on the right are? Oh, well done, Namita. Guys, you can yell out at us till have we got the mic, sweetie? So anybody who wants, just please raise your hand. We now have a volunteer with the mic, so yay for that. In order, it is IIT, NEET, and what is that beauty at the bottom? UPSC. Okay? Hello. These are your top. Thank you. Now, there is a mic available, so anybody, we are short of time, so as long as the conversation stays here, if you have a view, I'm happy to hear it afterwards, but I have 7 slides to get through to today. Just wanted to show you, not that one is better than the other, just that these are the 3 careers that we send our kids to. Nothing is to say, okay, so healthcare, by 2030, healthcare is going to grow 30% CAGR, which is compounded annual growth rate. It's actually 27 point something by one of the research agencies. If you can't become a doctor, can you become a diagnostician? Can you run a series of diagnostic? Can you run a physiotherapist? Can you run a nursing school? There are 100 million, that's a joke, there are maybe 100 odd career opportunities within healthcare that are allied or doctor adjacent, which will grow. For every, think about it, for every student who goes into college, there are 10 extra kids who take the SATs. For everyone who actually needs an operation, there are 15 people who have had the tests. There are many career opportunities available which have dignity, they're fair, they're well paid, there is stability in the future, healthcare being one of them. Education is another one, something we can discuss perhaps over lunch about whether it is going to grow and be well paid. We wanted to talk, we touched upon this yesterday a little bit, but we're in a VUCA world. Does everybody know what VUCA is? Just please raise your hands if you do, right? So just simply, it is volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex and ambiguous. This is what is facing us. 50 years ago, we did not have these things. It is not something that Ambika and Neha have come up with. This is a conversation that is happening globally about things being volatile. So if you look at what climate change is doing, depleting resources are doing, that is uncertain, it is volatile, it is ambiguous. One doesn't know whether you get into... So 20 years ago, if you went into an IIT Delhi or a Bombay, you were short guaranteed a job. 22% of these engineers over the last 5 years have not found a job to their liking. Now, I'm not picking on them. I'm just mentioning that simply because these are things you can relate to. These are facts you can take back to parents. I'm not saying discourage your students from pursuing the JEE. I'm saying think about within the 35 options of becoming an engineer, what are the other kinds of engineering they potentially could do? What else do they layer on top of their engineering to become more relevant? Now, please take a screenshot of this. Those who know me know I leave a lot of data here, so you guys can screenshot and read it later. These are where blue ocean careers exist. We're betting on these. There will be more. Just to let you know that we're doing a resource on this. So if you have an idea, please find one of us. We'll ensure that it gets captured and it's available for free for all the schools, everybody. Actually, every educator in here. I don't want to differentiate between friends on one side and friends on the other side of the aisle. These are careers that are growing. So what are the options available? Which universities can you send your kids to? What projects should they be doing? I'm not a big fan of pushing research unless it's independent, individualized research to build a research mindset. Okay, so again, transition. I love looking at trends. I love looking at how things have moved. In technology, what used to be software developer, IT support specialist, you might say, oh, Ambika, my kids are not going to become that. But a lot of our children have gone and become, you're working for Patni or Infosys, you might do IT support for a while with a client, and then you get promoted to become a manager or something. That'll become perhaps AI ethics consultant or a blockchain architect. Perhaps you'll be a health data analyst or a telemedicine specialist. This is in healthcare, right? COVID taught us that we were depending on telemedicine. Finance, sustainable finance advisor, fintech product manager, or developing a technology-based financial product. Education. This is something that affects all of us here. We actually had a full slide on it, then I removed it because it gave me a bit of anxiety. Educational technology developer. Can you develop a MOOC? Can you develop a course that is asynchronous? Asynchronous means you can study it at any point of time that you want to study. Do you know how to develop it, or can you only do live sessions? Are you only impactful when you're like this? Or are you capable of developing materials and disseminating information and generating curiosity and excitement through an online course? And if not, what does that mean for our futures? Entertainment, virtual reality content creators. So gone are podcaster, YouTubers become red ocean. And these guys are now perhaps blue ocean, gaming narrative designer. Do you know what that is? All these gorgeous games. How many of you are gamers or have played some game? I don't mean Tetris. I don't mean Snake. I mean something more recent. Okay. If you go and look at some of the recent games, they're gorgeous. The cinematography is brilliant. The narrative of the storyline the protagonist follows is fantastic. Who's writing those? That is where the kids are, right? They're all playing games. You've heard of that. Sustainable design, experience design. This entire process, this beautiful building, the user experience, the user design, both online as well as offline. E-commerce. So have you guys got, I'm not going to read them out, but you guys have heard this. And we've picked only 8 or 10 industries. You can do this across 600 industries, right? Then we're going to play a point system. This is a game, Riptide Realities. So please, we're going to do a point system. Just one second. Palak, where is the points on this? Palak? Neha? Where is the readout for this? Okay. 1 second. No, but I can't have them seeing it. Guys, I'm really sorry. It's gone again. Right. Monetary growth. I believe that career changes or career pivots are detrimental to monetary growth. Next, I regularly research about the current job market and can happily give a lecture on it for 30 minutes right now. I regularly research about the current job market and can give a 30-minute session right now. We know Samir can do it right now, right? Because you did it yesterday. I suggest students to only choose career which align with what I believe are their strengths. I suggest students to only choose careers which align with what I believe are their strengths. I find myself sometimes prioritizing salary potential over job satisfaction when giving career advice to those going abroad. The problem is the abroad, right? So each of these questions have been thought through. There is no clear answer. There is no correct answer. This is a self-reflective question. Yes, ma'am. I find myself prioritizing salary potential over job satisfaction when giving career advice to students going abroad. The going abroad is the tricky part because it depends on how much you spend, how much the family has, etc., right? It's all nuanced. I primarily advise based on my own career experiences and knowledge base. Guilty. I tend to discourage gap years or non-traditional experiences. Again, you might come from a context of a smaller town or a more traditional parent body. There is no right or wrong answer. This is reflective to see where you're stacking. I prefer to separate personal passions from career advice. Child's personal passions from career advice. You know what they say, make your hobby or whatever and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah, but if I love art and I became an artist and I had to pay my bills out of art, maybe the pressure would change my joy for that. And that could be a conversation for another day. Last, I advise students to pursue careers which will be in high demand in the next 5 years. So this was the point system. Now add up your points. Yes, no's, maybes. +3, -2, +1, -9. Is everybody done? Can I see a show of hands? How many of you are between 0 and 10? But also appreciate the fact that you have stretched yourself from where your cultural context is. Who's between 10 and 45? It's okay. I mean, there are no tests. I know they're recording it, but I assure you nobody's going back to check. If you're between 10 and 45, perhaps you're more traditional in your outlook, and you need to understand what it is that you're doing that is pushing you towards being more prescriptive. So again, this is not a reflection on our view on you. Perhaps the conversations you're having are not open, and they are more, this is what I think you should do. You're not here to solve their problems. Please repeat after me. I am not here to solve their problems. I'm here to teach them how to navigate. Sorry, I do this because it is very important to hear the words. It's like an affirmation, right? Now, how many are from between 0 and -15? Well done. Please continue reading. Please continue doing more. How many are between -15 and -30? Sapna ma'am, always on the border. Between -15 and -30, that's very open. Are you being too open for more traditional parents? Are they going to feel challenged by some of the things that you put on? So again, there is no right space on the spectrum. Wherever you are, you have to have the flexibility of stretching yourself either way, depending on what the parent's budget, student, forget the budget first, what the student is about, what their strengths, and sometimes they don't even know their own strengths. You see something, you can help spark it. Okay, so this is a very easy game. You can play it in your schools. We're happy to share the links. Now I'm just gonna, how much time do we have? How are we for time? How much time do we have? 10 minutes. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, quickly, strategies for adopting a blue approach. I don't think I need to teach anything here. This audience is smart. It is doing hands-on work. You know what you're doing. It's just about populating a few ideas, leaving a few thoughts in your head. At the individual level, please remember to tailor it to the individual student. I'm going to talk about one of my examples, which we have a huge fight on. I studied, some of you may know, I studied at DPS Arkipuram, one of my many schools. We had the ability section system where kids about a certain percentage were put into another section. It was like an advanced education system. And we used to have these parents who'd be very upset that some other children were not in the ability section. Now, they could have named it differently because the lack of ability is. So there was that problem. After my years, a couple of years later, this ability system was abolished in DPS for mainly because of parental pressure. I have an issue with that getting abolished. That's my personal view. I don't speak as anybody from the society today. Imagine this is the class, and this is the bottom of the learning, right? And this is the top of the learning ability. The teacher normally teaches to the middle of the class, right? And that is a problem. Because somebody who's at the bottom of the learning ability, let me actually show it here. Somebody who's at the bottom of the learning ability is disenfranchised. They don't understand what's going on. Somebody who's on top is bored. In an ability section, this is what they did, right? So the teacher was teaching here, this segment could work, and this part was being a little better managed. Now, that is a system that works. You have to tailor the advice based on the individual student. I don't think all of us are doing that yet. Because what you do is you take what you have said to somebody who was similar last year and give the same advice this year. It doesn't work. The world has changed. So please keep that in mind. And pedagogical level, I don't think any of us in school, and I'm speaking very boldly here, have a pedagogical structure that we think is brilliant. Because it is possible to improve. It is possible to tweak. It's impossible to tweak, and it is always possible to tweak, and there's always something more that you can add, right? And before we end, I just want you guys to take a pledge with me today, because I'm very action-oriented, in case you didn't know that. So before September 15th, that you will schedule a 2-hour session with your senior leadership, because you're committing to career counseling. You're committing to your students here today, right? By being here this early in the morning, attending our session. Most of you have not been forced by our friendship. Some of you are here out of choice. I love that. Thank you very much. But please pledge that before 15th of September, that you will take 2 hours out, sit down with your team, go through ERRC, figure out what it is that at the institutional level, in the office, what is it that you need to change, what you need to eliminate, reduce, create, and raise, right? And that you will create the ERRC grid. And before 31st of October, you will plan an exploratory exercise. If you don't have exploratory exercises, I'm committing before 15th of September, we will make it available for free, 3 or 4 fun exercises. Amrita ma'am, we could use perhaps your spin the wheel one. So a couple of them we will just make available for free. You can look it up at collegeaccessprogram.in. It'll have a segment. Just go in there, find the exercises, the worksheets, collegeaccessprogram.in. If you look for College Access Program in India, it'll be the first thing that you will find. What we're doing is putting accessibility to college in the forefront of everything we do. So these games will be available. You can just download them and you can use them. Anyone who knows me knows I love activities and games. We have like 100 of them, and we are putting them together. And under the leadership of Dolly ma'am here, I'm going to say it. We're going to make it available to not just the DPS schools. They're available to any school that wants to use them. And with that, I think we're done. Questions?
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And I think just last 2 cents, since we have the attention of school leaders as well, please do also see how this might apply at your individual or a leadership level as well. Think about how you're spending your time, acts and activities that are consuming most of your time. When I reflected on how I'm spending most of my time, I realized I was spending much of it in operational tasks, but very little in sort of innovation, sort of charting the future of the organization. Should I be delegating more? So I think those are ideas as leaders that we need to think about and use this framework to see if this helps. It helped me a great deal. I'm sure it'll help you as well. So thank you, and let's take some questions if that's okay.
Are there any questions, any thoughts? Please share the PPT.
Okay.
Anything other than the PPT? Yes.
Okay, just a question. I think since you're talking about red sea and blue sea and so on.
You'll have to speak into the mic.
Oh, am I audible now? Okay. So we're talking about, I think, of course, creating maybe a schedule from maybe we're moving the children from the red to the blue, and we're trying to give them prospects. What are your stance on maybe something like an Allen on a dummy school, which is integrated as part of 11th and 12th, which is primarily for children who have JEE training, who are going for Allen after school, which is like an integrated approach, which a lot of parents might be very keen on, where they're sending the children for JEE training within the school hours, and the school just sets up a system where there's an attendance that is given, particularly for science children, the ones who are going for traditional engineering setups. So is that something that we would like to change in the school setup, or that can coexist within the same framework? Because I'm sure parents will not immediately...
So ma'am, just to summarize your question, you're saying what is our view as the panelist?
Yes.
So I can only speak for myself as a personal view. I will not speak in my official capacity at all. I don't think that is fair. If a child has the aspiration of going or achieving those crazy percentages, getting into those, they may need additional support. I struggle with the Indian entrance exams only for one reason. Yes, they filter out the best and they teach you resilience and the academic strengths are great. I feel like the socialization aspect is missing. Students don't get to debate. So from class 8 through class 12, the IIT crackers, the toppers, don't get to experience debating. They barely enjoy their adolescent. So I struggle with that, having enjoyed it myself thoroughly. And a lot what I learned in grades 9 through 12 has served me very well in the last 23 years that I have been working across the world. I worked in 28 countries, and that has helped primarily because I went to schools where I was allowed to enjoy my studies, but also do a bunch of other things. Whether it should or should not be allowed, I don't think it is my position to comment on. It is a school decision or a parental decision. It would be very inappropriate of me to say something about somebody else's child. But personally, I would love to see a world where students can actually enjoy high school, because it is truly one of the best years you have before adulthood smacks you in the face, right? Any other questions? Are we all ready?
The thinking or the I don't know whether it's a struggle or I'm not able to frame it or point at it accurately, but I think also knowing that when and how does one move from red to blue. Like if we are saying in banking there is X which is now red and there is Y which is going to be blue, I think also having conversations about why that happened and how that happened. There is so much obsession about technology and AI and just that leading to that change that I think we are forgetting many other factors that may be making that change. So I think even all of us as practitioners in the field can have conversations. I'd love to have some conversation about what was once in red and how it became blue, and for how long will it last, and what are the factors that are going to influence this movement from red to blue, or what is it that's going to raise more blue.
So to that point,
except for technology.
So to that point, so you're saying longitudinal view on red to blue shifts, right?
And the reasons behind
And
it.
the reasons. So reasons can only be suppositions. I don't think there's any research around this, but this is something, Palak, we can pick up. And perhaps over the next 10 years, we'll pick up, let's say, 50 industries, and let's talk about certain jobs which have moved. One other thing I wanted to talk about is not everybody can handle the blue. Okay? There was one other movie which said, can you handle the truth? Well, not everybody can handle the blue. Some people need the structure and they need the extra scaffolding, and they're okay in the red. So
that
we have
was
to keep
my-
that in mind. Yes, Sapna.
So, one, to your point that some people need, and then some people who thrive in conventional structures. It's not only they need them, they thrive in them, they're good at that. The kids who are really good at the IIT exam bit. I mean, that is their space. So that. And second, I think it's not only, it can also be something that's red in the US, could be blue in India right now, and could be really blue in Ajmer. So it's also about geographical context, cultural, lots and lots.
Beautifully said. Yes. Ramya, ma'am. Just so you know, there's a little mafia here and they're hogging the...
Sorry, no, I just wanted to quickly add that I liked what someone had said earlier about, I think it was Neha, the blue, we can all aspire for the blue puddles or the blue patches in whatever red sees, right? Because even in the international school space, honestly, there's a lot of counseling, there's a lot of IECs, but there are people doing innovative work within their spheres, and who knows, maybe there's a potential for that puddle to grow, and when there are enough puddles, maybe they get together and form something.
Turn the red blue, right?
I think one of the points is that you might be blue at heart, or you might want to kind of function in a blue mindset, but it's not always accepted. And it's something just to be aware of, because you can sit in, if a family comes in and medicine is on their mind, if you kind of talk about being a diagnostician or something, then nobody's going to listen to you. And even though you know that NEET's probably not going to happen, or they don't have the right grades in chemistry to get into a UK university for medicine. So you sometimes are pushed into being red. Even if you were like, okay, I want to think a little bit more open and give the child more options. So it's a lot to do also with the reaction of the person in front of you.
So just one thing, and camera mics to you guys. The idea here today was not to prescribe a framework. The idea was to get you guys thinking. So if we're having these conversations, Neha and I are just like tick mark, we're sorted, right? And you take this idea back, you talk about it to 5 people, 5 other people are going to get blued out or red out or whatever, purpled out, I don't care. Oh, I'm wearing purple, I didn't realize.
Yeah. So I feel that most of the children now are able to convert the red to blue themselves. They have access to the resources. They have access to the GPT. I agree. And that's why at times as counselors, we have to tell them that now it is not the age of one career. It is the age of career. And what else can you add to the career plan that you have? Maybe your backup plan can merge with your original plan to create something very unique so that your skills are being represented in the best possible manner.
So there was just one more data point. Kids who are in grade 10 today will have 7 careers and 20 jobs. So think about it, and think about the fact that your parents might have had one career. My dad worked in cement between two companies for 47 years. He's a cement man, right? I have been a banker. I ran a baby clothes business. I had a stationery business, and I have a digital media business. This is my 4th, and this is my 5th career, which I'm hoping will, sort of stick. The other work is still continuing, but so what you can do is pivot. And Priya ma'am, yeah, of course.
So, thank you for this wonderful session. I think it all also revolves around gaining the trust of the parents. The moment you have the trust of the parents, I think these things start working.
They say mindsets are mightier to move than mountains. So I think that's a good starting point, and things will start to shift.
Okay, some of you have been given, guys, can we just hand out the speaker feedback notes?
Yeah.
Oh, we've done that. So if you would please give us some feedback on how we can improve the session, what are some things that we can add which will make your life easier?
Yeah.
Neha and I are happy to work on any resources that you either want to suggest or you want us to develop. We're happy to do that. My name is Ambika Kaul. I run the College Access Program for the DPS Society. This is Neha Behel, the Executive Director of the IC3 Institute. Achha, we're going to pose for a picture because Sapna ma'am wants it. And thank you very much.